Welcome back to Ken versus the Stove, and today it's going to be meatloaf. And, I used to be really impressed by, Mom and Grandma made this great tasting meatloaf, and, other ladies who I've known who made it. I'm beginning to learn, as I do this, y'all ladies been running a scam on us. This cooking stuff isn't as hard as it looks. And now, let's watch how thoroughly I screw this one up. Okay, so to make doggone meatloaf, we need 1.5 pounds of beef. Well, I tripped over bison at the local Kroger's and got 1.5 pounds of that. According to the label, it is great for chili and unique among all animals that I've ever gotten meat products from. This, I don't know if y'all can see that, has been raised purely by being fed vegetarians. So, I don't know where they got enough vegetarians to feed, one bison, much less however many they had to have to make this. But maybe Portland, San Francisco, I don't know. Seattle, probably somewhere in those areas. So if your local area is missing some vegetarians, you might check your bison growers. Okay, now having beaten that joke into the ground, the next thing we need is panko breadcrumbs. Got some of those left over. They're still Japanese style. I still don't know what that means exactly. Breadcrumbs is breadcrumbs as far as I'm concerned. You're going to need, 3/4 cup of ketchup. So I went and got Hunt's 100% natural tomato ketchup, thicker and richer. Sure. 1/2 cup minced onions. Sadly, we are going to have to use my chopped onions that I bought, but I suspect it'll work just as well. I have an onion chopper coming so I can actually not have to run it through the food processor and make it mush, so I can actually get it chopped without doing the and cutting the tips of my finger off. But that's still on the way. Obviously, 1 egg, because everything has to have 1 egg. Not sure why. Tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. There's the Worcestershire sauce. Garlic. They want 2 teaspoons of minced. I think they're going to get 2 cloves. And let's see, dried thyme or thyme or however you want to pronounce it. Yep. No matter how much I think I've finally gotten all of the condiments or whatever you want to call them, they always come up with one I haven't gotten yet. Of course, then there's pepper. We're going to use black pepper today, and salt. And as we know from my prior uses, I have very clearly figured out what salt is. So that's the entirety of the ingredients. Shockingly simple. Oh, let's see. I think I'm going to move Betty off the stove here. My small cast iron skillet. Really Bertha there. And get a bowl. Right back. So we got Mega Bowl here. I've used Mega Bowl lately. So, Mega Bowl's here and ready to go. And basically, folks, the recipe just says, put them all in and mix them all up. Don't mix too hard because that will screw up the meat and make it too hard when it's baked. I don't know how true that is or not. But so, I'm just going to start putting it all in and mixing it all up. Let me get the measuring stuff. 1 measuring cup. Measuring spoons. And let's start with the meat. Of course, it's vacuum sealed, so I have no clue how I'm going to get this out of here. If you're going to vacuum seal, you at least should give a corner that'll peel down or something. No. So we have 1.5 pounds of bison beef. Let me chop that up a little bit. Alright, next thing we'll put in the 3/4 cup of panko bread clubs. I know it's panko, panko, who cares really? Okay, there's 3/4 cup. Half a cup of ketchup. Half cup minced onions. About right. One egg. The incredible edible egg. Hope they're edible. 1 tablespoon Worcestershire sauce. Ta-da! 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. Okay, we're going to do that last. 1 teaspoon of thyme. Well, since I picked up the pepper instead of the thyme, there's supposed to be 3/4 teaspoon of that. Let's go. That looks like about there. Okay. A little bit more. Okay. Now, let's try the thyme. And a teaspoon of dried thyme. I remember that smell from when I was a kid. I didn't know my parents used, my grandma and mom used that so much. Okay. And 3/4 and a half teaspoon of salt. So let's get the half teaspoon out. Ta-da! The only thing we've got left is the garlic. Yep, in order to deal with the garlic cloves I'm going to use, we're going to bring back Old Faithful here. No reason to bring out that monster-sized food processor. One clove. How much am I supposed to use? 2 teaspoons minced garlic. So we'll go with 2 cloves. Yeah, I'm throwing you away. You don't look so hot. God, I love this little mighty mite. Look at that. Yeah. I think garlic has to be part of every recipe, just so we can deal with the ongoing vampire problem. Okay, so I am supposed to gently mix this, again, so that I do not harden the beef. Well, I think that's about as gently mixed as it's going to get. It all seems to be mixed up. Here's what we got, folks. Alright. So, that's your basic put it together for meatloaf thing. Meatloaf stuff. Now I gotta get, oh shoot. No, where are my meatloaf pans? Pans. Okay, I am supposed to shape it into a loaf on this kind of pan. So, okay, so here's what we got. There's what it looks like in the pan. Now they wanted me to put aluminum foil around this, so I may have screwed it up. It may not cut out as easily, but I've had good luck with these things so far. 350 degrees. Well, that's a change. Most things are 375. Turn the oven on. And now we give it, put it on the top rack. And we wait 45 minutes. At 45 minutes, I'm supposed to pull it out, put half a cup of ketchup on top of it, because all good meatloaf has ketchup on top of it. That's the way it's supposed to be, you heretics out there. And cook it, bake it for another 10 minutes, and we'll see. Alright, so I'm back to pull it out, put more ketchup on top of it, and stick it back in. So, the no Burnham hand things. Ready? And another 10 minutes. I think my landlord's cattle know that I'm doing something with beef in here because they're mooing an awful lot today. Okay, so it's supposed to be done. Let's turn it off so I don't forget and have the stupid thing on 3 hours from now. And wonder why I'm sweating in my house. Not that that's ever happened. Never happened. Okay, so let's pull her out. Not particularly caring for the way that looks. Okay, here's what we got. Ta-da! It is nice and hot. I gotta tell you, when I brought it out of the oven the first time to put the ketchup on it, it looked like it dried out something fierce. So, I'm not holding the best of hopes out for this, which is a shame because it was probably going to be lunch for the next 5 days. We'll see. I'll let y'all know how it turns out later. Okay, it is time to cut out a slab and see how it tastes, and we'll see what we got. Well, it comes out pretty well as a slab. Not bad. What do we got here? Not bad at all. I might put too much ketchup on the top. Let's scrape some of that off and see what it tastes like without a glob of ketchup with it. Yeah, that's pretty good. meatloaf. You know, can't really complain. Could use more onions, I think. Yeah, I think it was a little bit more onions. It would taste a little bit better. But other than that, it's fairly good. So, ladies and gentlemen, bison meatloaf works. Let me eat a little bit of supper, and I will finish this up later and let you know how everything is. All right, so the meatloaf was pretty good. I mean, it was solid. Needed a little bit more oomph to it, you know. I'm finding that more and more with cooking, you know, as I go through and do, you know, cook this, cook that, cook the other thing. I keep finding that when I actually end up with it cooked, it's a little bit bland, you know. And again, I've said this before, when you get recipes off the internet, I kind of expect that because, you know, if you season to taste, right? Well, season to taste in my family is probably different than season to taste in your family, right? So season to taste can be different around. So you end up with a generic bland recipe. Now, I did run into one thing here that I think is kind of a flaw in what I'm cooking. You know, I've been using those, you know, bottles of pre-crushed whatever onions that you get from the grocery store. And I think that's a flaw because the pre-crushed onions they just don't have the juicy flavor that you get when you've got one that was really there and you've chopped it up, right? Because I remember Mom's meatloaf, you would get an onion in there and, you know, it would be nice and juicy. And I remember it aiding the taste, but I don't remember how much, right? I just remember it tasting, there was more taste in Mom's meatloaf. And this, you know, the onions didn't add really any taste at all. I gotta say, the things I've used this pre-done, dried out onions thing on, crushed onions or chopped or whatever they are, it's just not, it doesn't provide much taste, really. They're just kind of bland filler. I did buy an onion chopper, but it came in after I made the meatloaf, so next time I have to actually use a real onion, I can use a real onion, right? See how that turns out. But again, halfway decent. I would recommend this recipe as a good starting point for most of you. And that's all there is today, really. If you want something more, if you want to contact me, you know, you can reach me, direct message me on Twitter at LammersK. And comments below, obviously, if you want. But otherwise, until next time, folks, ma salama, y'all.